Imagine you're just scrolling endlessly through satellite images of literally the most barren, desolate landscape on Earth. Miles and miles of shifting sands, no cities, no roads, absolutely nothing but endless dunes. And then, suddenly, you spot it. Right there, right in the middle of nowhere, completely defying the chaotic natural flow of the desert, is a geometric pattern. And it's so precise, it looks like it was just stamped onto the Earth by some giant machine. Welcome to The Explainer. I am so excited you're joining us today because we are diving into one of the most bizarre, intriguing discoveries ever made from space. It's this wild mystery that ropes in ancient history, modern technology, and a genuinely dangerous journey right into the heart of a hostile wasteland. Let's get into it.
Now, to truly appreciate how strange this whole discovery is, you first kind of have to wrap your head around the sheer mind-boggling scale of the environment we're talking about. The African Sahara is the largest hot desert in the entire world. To put that into perspective, you could fit exactly 11 whole Pakistans inside this desert, or, 3 entire Indias. It spans over 9.2 million square kilometers, stretching all the way from the Red Sea over to the Atlantic Ocean. And it is incredibly hostile. We are talking daytime temperatures that easily soar to 50 degrees Celsius, that is a blistering 122 degrees Fahrenheit, while night temperatures can literally plummet below freezing. It's a parched, unforgiving place. Water is desperately scarce, which is exactly why any human settlement out there clings so tightly to whatever water sources they can find, leaving the vast majority of this massive area completely, utterly empty.
Well, back in 2001, a producer named Christoph was exploring Google Earth, and he noticed something that simply did not belong in this empty wasteland. Deep in the Sahara, 160 kilometers away from even the absolute smallest settlement, he found a pattern. It was a perfect circle, exactly 45 meters in diameter. It was made up of 12 evenly spaced dots around the outside, with one precise dot right smack in the center. But it gets weirder. When he zoomed out, he realized this wasn't just some isolated anomaly. There were 8 of these exact same patterns, and they were arranged in a perfectly straight line. And the spacing between them? Exactly 420 meters apart. Not 419, not 440. Exactly 420 meters every single time.
I mean, when you see mathematical perfection like that in a place where humans can barely even survive, your mind immediately starts racing, right? Was it some ancient civilization leaving a message, an otherworldly alien phenomenon? Or maybe just a glitch in the satellite software? Actually, to answer that last question, Christoph reached out directly to Maxar Technologies. They're the company providing the satellite imagery. Their senior director checked the data and confirmed, nope, this was no glitch. These dots were real physical structures sitting out there in the sand.
Section 1. Testing the theories. Okay, so when experts, archaeologists, and geologists were first shown these images, nobody had a single clue what they were looking at. So a systematic investigation kicked off, taking us through some really fascinating historical and scientific possibilities. The first major theory was that this was the remnant of a modern seismic survey. If you're not familiar, a seismic survey is a technique used by energy companies to hunt for underground oil. Heavy machinery basically sends powerful vibrations, seismic waves, deep into the Earth. These waves bounce off different geological structures beneath the surface, travel back up, and receivers catch those signals. They feed them into complex computer programs to generate an underground map, revealing if oil is hiding down there. Given the Sahara's long history with the oil industry, this seemed like a really logical explanation.
But here's what's fascinating. That seemingly logical theory fell apart incredibly fast. When experts at the University of Texas, who are literally some of the best seismic survey analysts in the world, reviewed the satellite imagery, they immediately shut the theory down. Why? 2 big reasons. First off, modern surveying machines simply do not create huge, circular, geometric dot patterns. It's just not how the tech works. And second, oil exploration is fiercely competitive. If a company spends millions surveying a remote patch of desert and finds nothing, they always meticulously erase their tracks. They're not going to leave giant breadcrumbs for their rivals to follow. So the modern survey theory? Total bust.
So the investigators had to look further back in time. An Algerian researcher actually suggested it might be connected to an ancient 2,500-year-old water extraction technique known as the Kanat or Fagara system. And this is a brilliant piece of ancient engineering. Basically, first, a main well is dug deep into the earth. Then, a series of vertical air shafts are dug along a slope. Finally, an underground tunnel connects these shafts to the main well, allowing water to naturally flow out for agriculture and drinking, completely without human labor. And when you look at them from above, these vertical air shafts often look just like a line of dots. But unfortunately, these theories quickly turned into dead ends too. The Connaught theory, along with another idea about 10,000-year-old circular royal tombs, was ultimately tossed out. The royal tombs just didn't match this exact repeating geometric shape. And the Connaught water systems, well, they were literally used to bring life to the desert. Wherever you find an ancient Connaught, you find a settlement at the end of it, or at least signs of ancient greenery and agriculture. But our mystery dots, they are 160 kilometers away from the tiny settlement of Insala. It is an absolute dead zone. No ruins, no greenery, nothing. Which brings us to the dangerous expedition. So, months are going by with zero solid leads. The researchers are hitting a brick wall. To actually solve this, someone was going to have to do the one thing everyone had been avoiding: travel straight into the deep, blazing heart of the Sahara and look at these dots with their own eyes. The push to finally do this came from a massive breakthrough clue. Maxar Technologies provided a newer, much higher resolution satellite image of the site, and when researchers zoomed in as far as they possibly could, they spotted something faint but unmistakable: faded tire tracks circling the patterns. Tire tracks mean vehicles. Vehicles mean this wasn't ancient Egyptians or a 10,000-year-old phenomenon. It was relatively modern. It was time to hit the road. An Algerian video journalist actually volunteered for this incredibly dangerous mission. And guys, you do not just take a casual Sunday drive into this part of the Sahara. From the nearest outpost of Insala, it is a brutal 3-day off-road journey. There are no roads, no signs, zero cell service, just endless sand dunes that you navigate strictly by GPS. To even survive, the team had to pack extensively. Camera gear, camping supplies, specialized medical equipment, tons of extra water canisters, and backup fuel. Because out there, if your car breaks down, you are entirely on your own.
After days of grueling travel, battling that insane heat, and tracking satellite coordinates, the expedition team finally reached the site. Those tire tracks they saw from space, visible right there on the ground. And when they walked up to the very first pattern, their jaws just dropped. What looked like flat, painted dots on a satellite map were actually massive, gaping pits. There were exactly 13 pits at each site, the 12 around the edge, and that one in the center. And these holes were incredibly deep, measuring roughly 4 to 5 meters down, though they were partially filled in by blowing desert sand.
And this right here is the turning point of the entire mystery. When the team started digging into the sand around these giant craters, they hit physical evidence. First, they found metal wires still coated in rubber stripping, poking right out of the dirt. Then, a massive clue: a binding strip bearing the unmistakable stamp of an explosives company, dynamite. And finally, buried in the sand just a short distance away, discarded, empty food cans featuring the logo SOPD. The team photographed these cans, contacted the company, and got a stunning confirmation. Those specific food cans, they were manufactured and packaged in the year 1958.
Uncovering the truth. We finally had it. Tangible, physical evidence. No more guessing about ancient tombs or modern high-tech vibrating machines. It was time to put the pieces together and uncover exactly who was out there blowing massive holes in the Sahara. Experts had been looking at thousands of years of history, but those 1958 SOPAD food cans instantly locked us into the mid-20th century. And during this exact period, specifically from 1950 to 1962, historical records show that a French company held a contract for oil exploration in this very sector of the Sahara. To verify this, researchers tracked down an elderly local resident. His father had actually been a desert guide back in the day, and he provided the final missing puzzle piece. He recalled that around the late 1950s and early 1960s, a group of foreigners from a French company arrived in rugged vehicles. They set up camp, painstakingly dug into the earth for months on end, and eventually just packed up and left, never to return. This perfectly, flawlessly aligned with the tire tracks, the vintage food cans, and that French oil contract.
So the crazy thing is, the University of Texas expert we talked about earlier, they were right, but only partially. This was a seismic survey for oil, but it wasn't a modern one. It was a vintage, mid-century, completely manual survey. Without the giant vibrating machines we have today, surveyors in the 1950s had to do it the hard way. They mathematically plotted out these exact 45-meter grids, 420 meters apart. They manually dug 13 deep holes at each site. Then, they dropped dynamite down those holes, ran the rubber-stripped detonator wires back to a safe distance, and literally blew them all up simultaneously to create artificial seismic waves. Over the next 60 years, the fierce desert winds naturally swept sand right into those blast craters, smoothing them out so perfectly that from a satellite hovering miles above the Earth, they looked like flat, mathematical dots.
A seemingly alien puzzle completely solved by faded tire tracks, an old soup can, and an incredibly brave journey into the wasteland. It truly makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other forgotten, hidden histories are quietly sleeping right now under the vast, shifting sands of the Sahara Desert, just waiting for a satellite to catch a glimpse of them?